So yeah,
Do you want me to
sit
give
down.
this copy?
Yeah.
Oh, she's shattered my record. She's,
I thought you still had the record for 10 minutes.
That's all
Huh?
right.
I thought you still had the record for 10 minutes.
oh, do I? No, I think she beat me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm just gonna, it's 6:31, so let's
Yeah,
call the
he'll
meeting to
catch
order
up.
and he will get here when he gets
It's nothing
here.
he can't get from just reading it.
So we have Kristen here, because both of the
Kristen.
agenda items are from her office. So the first one is the designation of lead agency for Henry Street Safe Routes to School, which is, yes. Hello,
Greeting.
welcome.
So am I doing plan?
Sure.
So basically, are people familiar with the Henry Street Safe Routes to School project?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So our consultants did a full environmental assessment form, and they determined that it would meet the criteria for type 1 action for seeker, which basically requires that first we need to seek designation as lead agency, and then circulate a request to any of the other agencies that might be interested in that. And so this is the first resolution in that process, to be able to circulate letters to other
Involved.
involved agencies.
And I just have a question. What does that mean, a type 1?
Type 1 action, it means that it could have, I'm not really an expert on seeker, but essentially it means that an unlisted action, there's a book, actually I don't know if anybody else in the room might know better than I do, but basically there's a book, I go and consult with the planning office whenever we have a seeker project, and there's a book that lists all the criteria that will list it as a certain type of action.
Okay.
So I know that some of the criteria for an unlisted action, an unlisted action doesn't meet any of the criteria for a type 1 or a type 2 action. But basically it has to do with the kinds of impacts that the project may have.
It kind of points it in the right direction of where it has to go.
Uh-huh.
If it has to go through the secret process or if it doesn't have to go through.
Yeah, so, and then once it goes through, whatever type action it is, once it goes through, then we would seek either a negative or a positive declaration, and then at that point, I suspect this will probably be a type 1 action with a negative declaration, because it's on a city street, and there's not, a lot of environmental impacts that could happen, because we're basically rehabilitating a city street that exists. So if you were like going through a wetland or something like that, then it would be, maybe positive declaration or a different type of action.
Can you just speak to some of the things you're gonna do on that street? What are some of the,
Yeah, so we do have some website, it's the city website / Henry Street, so you can check out, we do have some preliminary plans on there. The idea is the grant is for reconstructing sidewalks and adding bicycle infrastructure on the street. And so when we went through the design process, we had a public meeting, we went through the design process, and the engineers, because it's a New York State DOT funded project, so we have to follow every single rule that DOT has on transportation projects. And so there's some limitation with lane width there. And so we couldn't really fit any bicycle infrastructure in there without impacting parking. So they came up with an idea of having sidewalks with trees on one side, and then on the other side of the street having what they call a side path. So it's basically an 8-foot path where bicycles and pedestrians can go on. It's kind of like, it's basically a pathway. And it would be for more, not the fast cyclists, it would be more for slower cyclists, especially kids. So one of the things that we got a lot of feedback from the neighborhood at the public meeting and also at some of our project advisory committee meetings. We talked with a lot of parents who live on that street, and they were very concerned about kids on bicycles, especially in the summer. And because it's a truck route, kids are on bicycles, weaving in and out of parked cars, and having fun in the street. But it's kind of scary for
The parents watching.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, that resolution, that predated you, as far as your term on the council, so, but there's a pretty extensive, it's not a big idea to look, you could probably look it up or find the resolution. It'll gives a lot more detail, it's good,
But this resolution is to declare us, to start the process of
Right,
declaring
lead
us as lead
agency.
agency, and then making sure any involved agency agrees with that.
notified. Or
So that's
notified.
this step.
So why would the council be the natural lead agency here as opposed to, say, the planning board or some other city entity?
Well, in general, for any municipal run projects, we turn to the council to be the lead agency, not the planning board, because they oversee plans that developers are submitting, or private organizations are submitting. Any municipal project actually doesn't really run through the planning office at all, unless there's some special circumstance. Like we don't have to get a sidewalk permit to do our own municipal project, because it's run by our engineering office, and our DPW, and when we get into construction, they're the ones who are overseeing construction. So there's a lot of things that we don't have to do as a municipal project.
So, but then would we be the ones responsible for declaring it, whether it's type 1 action and
Yeah.
doing the environmental impact form and all that stuff?
Yeah, you would be the ones responsible. Essentially, we would go through this. We would send the letters to all of the involved agencies. And we would get their response. They would likely say, yes, you should be the lead agency. It's in your municipality. And then we determine the declaration. We bring that resolution back to you.
Does there need to be another public meeting after that happens, or the public meeting that already happens
The public meeting that already happened
is the public meeting?
The public
Okay.
meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and there was I think we had maybe either a 3-week or a 30-day comment period. It might have been 3 weeks. But all of the information from that public meeting and the renderings are on the website, on the city website /Henry Street. So you can check it out to see what it looks like there.
Right, so.
Does this go all the way up from
Goes-
where's it go from?
From Broadway to the George Washington School.
And you took, that 8-foot section you're talking about, runs the whole length of that?
It would run the whole length, yeah.
And how much does it go into the sidewalks that are already there, do you know?
Well, it would eliminate the sidewalk.
It would eliminate the sidewalk.
It would be the
Would
sidewalk.
it go any further in than that?
No, I
Or
think
where the old sidewalks were? I mean,
it's where the old sidewalks were.
it's where the old sidewalks were?
Yeah.
So you're just gonna take up that land out of there?
Yeah, so we're not taking any land.
No, I know. Okay,
We're
no,
not
I'm just
taking
saying, yeah,
any right of way, so we're working within the city's
right, space.
property boundary.
Right,
I think, trying to remember if we have to move one of the curbs in or out or not. I think we were trying not to move curb lines, because once you move curb lines, then you get into drainage issues and all sorts of other things. So we were trying to stay within the space that's available.
yeah.
And I think, that was preliminary design. We still have a long way to go
Okay.
for design with, final design. And so I think we were looking at doing the pathway on the east side, so the side that's closest to us right now, and the sidewalk and trees on the west side. And that was because the sun, there's more sun on the west side, so if you have the trees, then it'll be a nice shaded walkway there on that side.
Oh, thank you.
But there's also conflicts with the electrical above, so we have to, there's things that we have to work out. So
Yeah.
it may flip flop, but that's what we preferred.
Trees are also traffic calming too.
Yeah, and there would be a net increase in trees on Henry with the project. So we wouldn't be eliminating, you know, it sounds like, oh, you're gonna have trees on one side, but there would be a net increase. And there's still a lot of trees in people's yards that, you know, they're not in the sidewalk strip, but they're in people's yards.
Any other questions on the, or discussion on the question?
No, I'll make
Sorry?
a motion.
Second.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And next, which I wrote up a new from laws and rules, this on here, so we just get rid of this. It's not the correct one, somehow it slipped in.
Is that the committee report in here we're getting rid
This is
of?
the
This
resolution.
one?
Yeah, because that says
This
it's
one?
from finance, and
Oh, yeah, it does, doesn't it? Okay.
This is the map.
Thank you.
This one. I just printed out 5 of them, but you're welcome to take a look at those.
so this is to acquire the right of way on a small sliver of property on a sidewalk, or by the sidewalk.
It's on the sidewalk, so you might be looking at that map, trying to figure it out.
Oh, thank you.
But basically, we've been advancing our right-of-way acquisitions for the Broadway project. This is what essentially caused the Broadway project to be delayed, is that
Yeah.
New York State DOT added a right-of-way phase to the project. So when they did the survey, they discovered that there are certain little slivers of sidewalk that are up against some of the buildings that are not owned by the city of Kingston. So in the past, when we did sidewalk projects on Broadway, it wasn't necessary, I guess, in those times to acquire those properties. But so basically this is to acquire, we've been working on right-of-way access. We have 13 of them on Broadway. We're almost done with all of them. But essentially the city's had to acquire those little properties so that we can, it's a federal aid project, so we have to own all of the property in order to implement the project.
So this is multiple slivers?
No, this one is just for one.
One.
All of the other ones were private properties, so we didn't need to come to you at all for anything because it's, you know, basically a transaction that happens through the Corporation Counsel office, and we have a right-of-way consultant who is managing most of this for us. But this one is, it just happened to be that it's a sliver of property that's owned by the state of New York. And so they require that a resolution be passed for us to acquire their property. The other thing about them is that the property was appraised at $1,080. But they
Get
never
it.
give it to us for $1. Because,
I'd
you
say
know,
no more, no more than 95 cents.
Oh, they'll find a way to get that from us.
yeah, so I guess it's, you know, because it's, you know, they're giving state land for state state federal aid project and for public property, so they
So
don't.
where exactly is this on the map?
On the map, these maps are really confusing.
Uh-huh.
So it says M109.
Where?
Down
the
at the
bottom,
bottom, there's a big
M109.
circle,
Of the
It's a
and the
circle.
circle points
Oh,
to a
uh-huh.
little dot.
That's it?
Okay, and then, so I think that, see how it says AHB up above? That, I believe, means highway boundary. And so it's actually kind of a long strip here that goes, let's see, reputed owner. Where's the reputed owner?
609 Broadway?
Yeah, it's hard for, I think it goes from this line here, right before it says brick, to this line here. So these are survey maps that are difficult. I think it goes from here, it's like this shaded,
So brick to the dot?
it's like
Yeah.
here, or like this.
Yeah, the kind of diagonal lines that come down, there's 3 of them. In between, there's 2 level
that.
apart.
Okay.
So it's just a long strip of sidewalk that's against the building.
Hmm.
Crazy.
Yeah, see, it says PL, I think that's a property line, and this is property line. So in between those 2 property lines, it's, you know, a big, like, long parallelogram
Mhm.
that's in between
Bill,
those
it's
2
Field
property,
Court across
property
from,
lines and
The YMCA?
where the highway boundary is.
Where's Field Court?
Field Court is the one that's across from UPAC. It's that
Oh,
small
now
street.
Yeah.
Lane back there?
That small street,
Yeah,
that dead end there.
goes back to Joe's.
Yeah, because right here,
Broadway Joe's
that's
back there.
UPAC right there.
Yeah, that's
No.
back.
So, oh, you're,
You
No, not
see
Broadway
At
Joe's.
the end,
Owner, you
so
got-
it's
Oh, yeah.
just a
So
little.
here's the
Used-
property
used to be the
line,
Walnut
property
Grove.
line, and then it's this long strip.
Wow.
And so that's where Pact is right there, right? The restaurant
Yeah.
on that corner?
yeah,
Yeah,
Remember the Walnut Grove way back when?
that's interesting.
It was Field Court.
it's fascinating.
Is it the old laundromat that was
Studio
there?
54 too.
Is that
It
where it
was a
was?
discotheque too.
The old laundromat that was there?
Remember Walnut Grove?
I think it's in
Remember
between.
Walnut?
Is
you
it the
don't remember?
Walmart, is it the laundromat, Bill? Is that where it is?
No, it's right where, it's that little dead end street right across from UPAC. You
No,
go-
I'm talking about this piece of chunk of land. we're
Oh,
buying.
oh.
It's directly next to UPAC, and I think it's between UPAC and that other building where there used to be a flower shop.
Hey, Dan, I got a question. Why don't we know when we're buying pieces of property? Why doesn't the council privy to that?
To the other 13, you mean?
Yeah, or any piece of property.
Well, you authorized it through right-of-way, when you authorized the right-of-way phase for the Broadway Street
Uh-huh.
Streetscape project, that's basically authorizing the city to advance with acquiring right-of-way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I did know, you're right.
That's
Now,
the only-
now I,
You-
you're
maybe
right,
you
I
didn't
did know.
But,
Well,
This is the
whoever
only one
voted
that
on it
did-
before us.
Did know.
yeah.
You and the collective sense.
You and the-
Yes, I understand. We knew already.
You all.
Thank you.
And this is just because this one requires an easement and the other ones did not.
Yeah. So and 80% of those acquisitions was paid for through the federal aid, through New York State DOT, the grant funding. So, and then 20% is our match, which was also authorized through bonding that you guys authorized previously for the Broadway project.
I move that we accept the offer.
All right,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm trying to get better with bringing you guys maps.
Thank you, I like that. I like looking at maps.
You gotta stay with these engineering ones.
This one
Yeah.
you really needed.
That was-
You really, that was a tough one.
Education.
That's all right, they'll give us a lookout later.
And I don't
Yes.
have any old business, so unless there's anything else,
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you.
Gee, that's
Have a nice
all,
night.
folks.
Awesome.